Hey team, Kurt Reichert here again, Regional Safety Manager for OTC, and welcome to another installment of our Safe Practices video series. Today we're going to talk about the proper use of ladders and the correct way to do a pre-use inspection. Key concept here is temporary, as ladders are not intended to be long-term work platforms. There are a number of different types of ladders. We will discuss a few as they pertain to the types we most frequently use here for our type of work. First, let's discuss the right way and the important items to inspect on any ladder before each shift or before each use. We'll go over a couple of different styles of ladders today. This is a large A-frame ladder, fiberglass, heavy duty, made for industrial use. Over here you have your general use. Something made of this quality generally would not be used in the field. It would be used for general office purposes. Over here, we'll also talk about a ladder we use quite a bit in the field, which is the extension ladder. Let's go over here to the A-frame ladder first. So before every shift and before every use, it's very important that we inspect our equipment, including our ladders. So what are we looking for when we inspect a ladder? Again, obvious damage. You want to look over the side rails, the rungs. Each rung is fastened by a rivet or a screw or a bolt. We're checking to see if any of them are damaged or loose. Each rung needs to be physically inspected for cracking, bends, damage, rust, other obvious things that would make the ladder unusable. You also want to inspect the rear bracing of the ladder. Each one of these also must be free from damage, free from bends, and any other thing that would make the ladder unstable or unusable. Another important piece of the A-frame is the cross member bracing. These are very important, that they're not bent or misaligned on both sides of the A-frame. As we will go through when we set it up, is that these have to be able to lock. If they don't, the ladder is unusable. Another important piece is how this thing attaches to the ground. As you see on the bottom, we have feet or cleats for the ladder. They also must be free of debris, undamaged. They have to be present. The rubber pieces have to be intact for all four corners of the ladder. All of them are as important as the other. Lastly, a recommendation that I always use, especially for Arizona, we have a lot of direct sunlight, and the sun has a tendency to damage the fiberglass. So what I recommend is we take our ladder, we look down the ladder to make sure that the rails are true and they're straight, they're not warped. Look for obvious cracks. Make sure that both sides of the ladder are true and straight on top of each other. They're not canted from one side to the other. If they are, that indicates we have damage on top. So this again would be a no-go. Both sides. Make sure it's true and straight. And again, as I always say, for all safety practices, if it doesn't look right, it's probably not. All right, just as important as the physical stability of the ladder is the warning labels that are on all ladders, or they should be on all ladders. These labels give you valuable information, the load rating, and the manufacturer's recommendations. The ladder may look safe, but understand that if these labels are missing, you cannot use the ladder by law. Missing labels are a citable offense through OSHA and MSHA. So as you're doing an inspection, make sure that these labels are intact and that they're readable. There's extra parts to the extension ladder that we also need to inspect. Specifically, the safety latches, or also referred to as the safety dogs. These are designed to hook onto the inside of the ladder so that it locks into place as you extend. The rope needs to be in place, and it's designed to assist with extending the ladder to a higher elevation. And most importantly, if any of these items are defective or you find damage on the ladder, it is required that the ladder be red tagged, taken out of service immediately. Make sure you inform your supervisor of the defective equipment so it can be removed from the job site and replaced. All right, so you've inspected your ladder, now you're ready to use it. Let's discuss the do's and don'ts of ladder use. First and foremost, make sure your ladder is set up properly and it is stable. Unfolding A-frame ladders, again, this is an A-frame ladder. It must be completely unfolded and placed on a stable, even surface. Ensure the cross braces are locked into place. Using a ladder like that is incorrect and is dangerous. Make sure that they are locked into place. Also, it is never acceptable to lean an A-frame ladder against a structure and climb onto it, such as this. Using a ladder, an A-frame ladder in that fashion is unacceptable and dangerous. Next, never stand on or past the second from the top rung. The ladder can easily tip over. Never stand past this rung right here. Okay, unlike the A-frame ladders, the extension ladders are meant to be used in a different fashion. A-frame ladders are meant to be unfolded on a stable surface, unlike the extension ladders, which are designed to be leaned up against a structure and used at an angle. As such, there are a few rules regarding extension ladder setup. First, ensure the extension ladder is set up at the proper angle. This is called the 4-to-1 ratio rule. That means that for every 4 feet up in elevation you put your ladder, the bottom must be at least roughly 1 foot away from the structure. An easy way to gauge if you're at the proper angle is to use your body. And what I recommend is you put your toes at the cleats of the ladder and stand up straight, and if you can extend your arms and touch the ladder, you are roughly at a 4-to-1 ratio. This is what it looks like when it's an incorrect angle. Your arms are bent, that's no good. 4-to-1 ratio. Next, at least 3 rungs of the ladder must extend past the landing where it contacts the structure. More than 3 feet is better, but at a minimum of 3 feet by law. That means that 3 rungs have to extend past the top of the landing where you would step off if you were to step off. Lastly, it's also a very good safety practice, whenever feasible, whenever possible, is to secure the ladder to the structure by either tying off at the top or tying to the structure in the middle. Next, do not climb or stand on the ladder backwards. Always ascend facing the ladder and never come down or up backwards. Always avoid overreaching by keeping your body within the confines of the rail. A good rule of thumb is to never let the midline of your chest extend past the rails. Doing so may tip the ladder and put you off balance. You'll want to always maintain 3 points of contact with the ladder at all times. This means 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and at least 1 hand while you're ascending or descending the ladder. Always avoid carrying objects up and down the ladder that require both hands. Consider a bucket and a rope, or even a tool pouch to keep your hands free. Let's finish up with some definite do's and do nots and other considerations with ladders. First, never set a ladder up on soft, unstable ground. Do not place ladders on boxes, chairs, tables, or the like to gain additional height. Never use a ladder horizontally like a scaffold. They are designed to hold weight vertically. Be aware of overhead power lines and other additional hazards. Never attempt to move or slide your ladder laterally while standing on it. Get down and then move your ladder and then climb back up. And lastly, just like any task, if it doesn't look safe, it probably isn't. If it cannot be done safely, don't do it. This is Kurt Reichard signing off for now, and I'll see you out on the next job site.